As I said on Twitter, it's that Jake Cameron Show, and away we go. Well, isn't that pleasant? What a way to start. Florida State doing what they always do, winning basketball games against Miami. It is their job. As one friend noted, death taxes FSU over Miami. Suck it, Canes. Let's add to the frustrations of the last 24 to 48 hours. The basketball team does it, and the Noles get their first ACC win of the year on the road in Miami. Just so you know, and I don't know that everybody was locked into this one. That is a Miami team who, going into the night, was a robust 15-3, very good team. In fact, 4-1 in the ACC. They had a roster retool of great significance, including a Tallahassee native who came in from Michigan, played at Florida High, Trey Donaldson, good player. And this roster for Miami, they brought in a kid, the Malik Renew kid, who's averaging nearly 20 points a game, came in from Indiana, really good player. They brought in a kid who had been at Kansas and then TCU. Another kid, True Washington, had been at New Mexico, was a good player there, averaged double figures. They even got Shelton Henderson, who was a 5-star freshman forward that they originally, lost out to Duke on. They wrestled the kid away from Duke. So they've invested. Miami has invested, everybody. Let's just say that. And Florida State has been awful in basketball this year, and you know that. So on paper, this didn't look like much of a game to want to tune into or get excited about. It is Florida State Miami, and I'm always going to watch, and not just because it's the job, but there's a little tinge of something when it's Florida State Miami always. And also, I thought, they'd shown some signs of growth since the disaster against NC State. They really blew a very winnable game against what is an average-ass Wake Forest team, and that one hurt because I didn't think there were that many of these that the Noles could get, and I hated that they would, they threw one away in essence. But I wonder, and we'll see moving forward, just how significant the decision by Luke Laux and staff was to completely scrap the way they play. This was the opposite of the up-tempo, bombs away from three offense that we've seen. Instead, they decided to be very, very deliberate. They played in the half court. They obviously, I think, did that because they desperately needed to limit turnovers. They were turning the ball over far too frequently. They did not hit enough of those threes for that strategy to be effective. And I guess to that end, what I would say, Tom, is that it's interesting. You've got McCray coming off a turnover festival that cost his team the game. Luke even saying after that Wake game, it's hard to win when your point guard turns it over that much. So clearly that went into the decision to decide to play a different way. You limit possessions, you limit the turnovers, you limit, getting exploited with runouts on the other end, the way they kept getting exploited because they missed so many damn shots. You get long rebounds and down the road we go. Live ball turnovers led to easy baskets. I just think he realized, man, the personnel is not able to execute what I want to do right now. And we got to get a win. We got to give ourselves a chance to win a basketball game. And so credit to them because they scrap it and they're always in this game. They don't allow for any of the crazy runs that they've allowed for everybody to have against them. Seemingly everybody anyhow. There were no moments where you're like, oh, it's getting away from them. The Canes had a 44-43 lead with just under 17 to play. That's the last time they led the game. Florida State went on a 6-0 run after that, I believe it was, Tommy. And the next thing you know, you're in a dogfight for the rest of the way. You got a chance. They tried to kind of it was trending towards giving it away at the end. But Miami never led after that. This was not fluky. You won the game. You found a way. You did a very good job of defending. You did a very good job. It was interesting. Miami, I think if you're Miami staff, you lament today that you didn't try to exploit your size advantage a little bit more. But Florida State, to their credit, they were tenacious. They were, they were like gnats. They were tough in this game. So when you look at the final numbers, and I always pull up these final numbers before I come on the air and talk to you, and obviously I watch the game, and then we look at these things, and you kind of get the summation. We go into those numbers, but that's the fewest field goal attempts. If you look at the final stats prior to last night, 56 were the fewest field goal attempts we had in a game, and the fewest three-pointers attempted in a game was 23 versus NC State in the game we got our ass beat. The Noles converted last night 24 of 53 shots from the field and just 17 threes, 6 of 17. That's an alarming difference.
It's staggering, and so is the rebounding margin. You lose by 5, which with this group, against that group that Miami has, is a total win.
6'11", 6'9", 6'6" front line for Miami.
And that's a couple of times in a row now where on the glass you did better than expected. Of course, we dominated Wake and lost the game because of the turnovers, fast break points, points in transition, all that stuff. In this instance, you lose the rebounding margin by 5, but you play, dare I say, a little Hamiltonian in the way they looked last night. It's a hybrid approach, and he talked about it in the post game how they went larger at the wings. He thought that they were so worried about not getting the offense the way they wanted to get the offense as a group that it took away from the urgency on defense. It just sounds like he said, all right, guys, we've banged our head against the wall enough. In practice, in preseason camp, y'all were able to do exactly what I wanted you to do. We get out there on the court in these real games. You can't do it. You can't make the shots. We're 300th in the country in three-point percentage.
Yeah, not good.
Right.
Not ideal.
So let's try to do things a little bit differently. And that raises your eyebrows because it requires investment by the players that they're still hanging with the coaching staff to be able to pivot midseason. A win like this important for a lot of reasons. It's a road win, which as Florida State fans, we should never take for granted because in general, we don't win road games very much. But it's against a Miami group that were they 15-3 coming into last night?
Yeah, really good team, actually.
They had just lost to Clemson, so you would think they're coming home. They're going to be angry and motivated. No, look at this. Look at what you did last night. Very nicely done. Good spot to get that win.
Well, that's a fellow rookie head coach over there, the famed Mr. Lucas, who I actually like. And Luke outcoached him. There you go. I don't have to bring that up, right? I don't have to bring up that definitive of a here's what happened. This guy got outcoached. He did. Got outcoached. Good for you, Luke. And good for Michael Fly and the rest of that staff. I mean, clearly they sat down and started talking a little bit about, all right, we got a lot of basketball to play. What are we trying to get done here? How do we shift gears and find some semblance of traction here? As a result of that game, and it's comical, and Miami fans, you're well aware of the absolute dominance that Florida State has over you in basketball. It's humiliating. But let's just add to the lore, 15 of 16 or 17 out of 19 against Miami. And that is, my friends, approaching a platinum Bohica at the Watsco. So we have now won 8 straight down there at the Watsco. The Watsco, known as a home for Noles, when on the road. Come to your home, the Watsco. It's pleasant here. Come enjoy the game tonight at your home away from home, the Watsco. Hey, Nole fans, if you're in the area, why don't you cozy up here at the Watsco? It's always been inviting. Tonight will be no different as your Noles take on the Canes. Drinks half off, plenty of popcorn, and a surefire Florida State victory at the Watsco.
The Watsco sounds like a grocery chain specific to northern Wisconsin that serves beer and liquor in the store that people love and adore. But if you haven't been to northern Wisconsin, you don't know about the Watsco. You never heard of the Watsco.
Well, and the other reason you're impressed when you go into the Watsco is that as you walk out, you say, did you see all the cheeses? So there it is. Like everything. The Munster too. Yeah, so there it is. Domination. Not in score, but in result. And man, that's interesting because the win came on the same night that Miami held a ceremony honoring the career of Jim Larrañaga, who obviously had led the Canes to the 2023 Final Four and also won an ACC tournament title in 2013, had done a really good job at Miami. I don't know how it's possible that somehow 12 years went by while he was there. It seemed like 4. Jim Larrañaga was there from 2012 to 2024. Sweet Jesus.
Here's how I know that it was, in fact, a dozen years. One of his first appearances publicly was in the booth with Fox Sports Florida, the Marlins broadcast, with Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton.
Oh, your favorite. And I love me some Tommy Hutton now. I won't hear any disparaging words about him.
No, that's fine. Yeah. Hermie's going to score. Here comes Hanley.
Yeah, that's
But it was at Pro Player. It was not yet at Marlins Park. I remember that interview distinctly, thinking, boy, this old ass, they think they're going to get something out of him. And they did.
And they did. They sure did. I will note that Jim Larrañaga's career against Florida State finished at 9-18. He, too, was dominated by Florida State. It was perplexing, no doubt, to the Larrañaga family how it was that we were so cozy at the Watsco. Tough times. Leonard Hamilton dominated Larrañaga. And anyhow, that also included losing 12 of his final 13 games against Florida State. So he didn't leave with a good taste in his mouth. He left with another loss.
At the Watsco.
No doubt. Well, if it was played at the Watsco, we won it.
That's right.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
If it was there at the Watsco Center, it was a big dub for Florida State.
What would, if it was 16-16, let's just say for a moment, we live in that hypothetical universe.
Damn near.
Would we be approaching the Diamond Bohica?
Yeah.
What's 20?
I should know that, right? That's my anniversary.
Isn't Diamond above Platinum? Is that what it would be? Because like 15 wouldn't count. 15 now. Once you get to Plat, you got to double it up. I think the Diamond Bohica would be 20.
We have not had now so many of our sacred streaks are banished because of incompetence. But there was did we have the 20 against Duke in football?
Oh God. Thanks for reminding me that we lost to them. Yeah.
Oh, Tom.
I'm sure we did.
Tom, it's all gone. Emerald is the 20th wedding anniversary gemstone.
Oh, the Emerald Bohica.
God, I love emeralds. I don't care anything about jewelry at all, and I love emeralds. Like I'd pay good money for a nice emerald for my wife or something. Like I love emeralds. Every other stone, don't care. But the emerald, it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. If we could ever get to the Emerald Bohica, the green Bohica.
That's right. And it gives you an excuse to maybe play a little bit of Irish music as well.
I love the emerald. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. It's a better way to start the show. How about that positive news for Florida State? How
Tough
about
day.
That, man?
Tough 24 hours for those Canes fans.
Well, they were thinking to themselves, what a great year. We had a hell of a run. We had something we haven't had in 25 years. We felt something. We mattered for the first time in college football. They had kids that were born, that went to kindergarten, that went on to preschool and elementary school and middle school and high school and then graduated college and never saw Miami matter in football. Not once. That entire time. That's a lot of schooling and no significance to your football program. And they were able to finally embrace, again, a success that the old-timers remember. And so, on the one hand, they have to celebrate that and feel a sense of renewal. But heartbreak is heartbreak. You make it that far and you lose at home in your own backyard to Indiana, it's tough. And there in your yard, they're able to complete the dream season and put the ribbon on a miraculous turnaround at Indiana. And that game will be forever known as such. But you probably thought to yourself last night, Florida State sucks at basketball, and we're 15-3. And I don't want to think about this national championship loss anymore. Let's go beat up on our hated rivals. Let's go have a few tall, cold ones and celebrate a pretty good accomplishment in football. I know we didn't win the conference yet again, but still a nice run. And we'll watch Florida State lose by 40 to us because that's what they do. And then somebody went out, Bob, they don't do that, actually. Florida State doesn't lose to us in basketball. That said, I'm with you. Tonight they will. Yes, it seems like an easy one. And then you're sitting midway through the first half, and it washes over you. They've got the Watsco magic again, don't they? Look at them. These sons of bitches are basket for basket. Where did this come from? Bob, NC State beat this group by 105. What are we doing out here? We're about to lose to them at the Watsco is what we are, Steve. That's what we're doing.
Then they got a knockoff Red Panda show at halftime, and you're thinking about all you lost in the trenches. All of those kids that are gone, and while your recruiting rankings are good.
So many.
You got a lot of work to do.
So many.
And the portal's closed. There's a lot of work to do on the offensive and defensive lines.
Congratulations, Luke Laux. Well done. Shannon Young, my man, working for Cross Country Mortgage. That's the largest mortgage company in the country. Better rates, better options, stronger support, but faster service for you. That's good. 7 states to boot: Florida, Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, Texas, and the Carolinas. I know Shannon well. He's a hard worker. He's a smart guy. He's excellent at what he does. He's relentless and goal-oriented, tons of energy, 20-plus years of experience, and he's out here getting our fellow Noles loans and non-Noles for that matter. Best loan options to get that dream home. Let's find out more. Loansfornoles.com. That's loansfornoles.com. Hey, this is for my homeowner friends out there. You know who you are. When you get your grass cut, you're going to inspect the work, make sure it's good, get your house painted, check around every corner and edge, make sure that's done right, get a new roof, got to get eyes on those shimmering new shingles, get your septic tank cleaned. Bet you're not popping your head down in there to take a look around. You got to trust it's done right. I'll make it easy. Go see my friend Greg Miller, Miller Septic. They're my guys. I trust them, and you can too. MillerSeptic.com. That's it. That's the commercial. That's the whole thing. Check them out. That's MillerSeptic.com.
What makes Paul's Termite and Pest Control the best in North Florida?
It's our core values, of course, and they happen to spell Paul's.
P, protecting you and your pets from pests and your property from termites.
A, accept personal responsibility. At Paul's, we realize it's up to us to get things right and strive to do more than's expected.
U, uphold company values. Those values include treating others with respect and understanding we represent Paul's Pest Control on and off the clock.
L, look the part. As representatives of this great company, we will always make sure that our image matches the character of Paul's.
S, support the team. Every job we do is a total team effort to create a supportive workplace.
P, protecting you, your pets, and your property. A, accept personal responsibility. U, uphold company values. L, look the part. S, support the team. Paul's core values. They make us the best.
For the elimination of termites and other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
You probably already know that Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is your one-stop destination for all pool maintenance needs, offering everything you need from chemicals, cleaners, vacuums, nets, and more. But that's not all. Pinch A Penny also carries a huge selection of premium hot springs hot tubs paired with easy financing options, making these luxury hot tubs affordable for everyone. And if you have an older hot tub and you're worried about the hassle of removing it, worry no more. Pinch A Penny will not only remove and haul away your old hot tub, but also offer a trade-in value for a credit towards your new one. So why wait? Visit Pinch A Penny's 12,000 square foot showroom today on Greer Road and discover how effortless and affordable owning a fantastic hot tub can be. Find out more at TallahasseeHotSpring.com. That's TallahasseeHotSpring.com.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
You know, I saw this. I just got in here and looked at what everybody's talking about in the chat. Good to see you guys. Hope you're well. I see where Garnet and Gold asked, thoughts on the owner of the Bills taking shots at drafting Keon in a press conference. Yeah, he did, didn't he? He did. All right, look. This is a complicated deal here. Should we be the PR firm here where I'd advise an owner not to do that? Or do we want to be the Noles that covered Keon and heard some not so flattering things post his time?
Probably the latter. It stands to reason. Even a PR firm that does not have the reputation of the JCS PR firm has might advise in an obvious fashion for the owner of the team to not speak out about a player being drafted in front of the GM when they're sitting at the same table. Like, that just is silly.
Well, he did it to defend the GM.
He did it, yeah, but it's very strange to it just is not what you do.
It's also completely unnecessary. I mean, Bean was in the middle of answering the question that he got. Pagula, the owner, decided to step in and actually said the words, "Can I interrupt?" At which point, if you are the PR firm, you go, no. No. Let's not go off script. We've talked about this. No.
Unless you're saying something like, "We have food in the back for everybody. Can I interrupt for a second?" That's the only way it's okay.
Yeah, you don't let old people go off script. Doesn't go well.
Anchor Bars catered this lunch, everybody. Fresh wings. What do you say?
Yeah, that as soon as he started to do that, I thought, oh, this ain't going to go well. He went on to say, for those that don't know, I'll address the Keon situation. The coaching staff pushed to draft Keon. I'm not saying Brandon, and he's pointing to Brandon Bean, who's now in charge of the whole enchilada in Buffalo. So whatever happens, it's going to be on him. He came over with McDermott, and there are a lot of people who feel like he also is the one who kneecapped McDermott after that game because, goodness gracious, one gets elevated, one gets shown the door. It's weird timing.
Michael Pitt, Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, it was something. Anyhow, he said that I'm not saying Brandon would not have drafted him, but he wasn't his next choice. So you are saying he would not have drafted him. That's just Brandon being a team player, which you're like 7 years old. What are you doing? You're not a team player, Sean McDermott. Thanks for leading us to the playoffs 8 of your 9 years. Come on, man. The other thing was the release by Buffalo came across as incredibly petty as well. And you and I grade releases pretty sternly.
We do, because
we see so many silly ones around these parts.
Yes, because in releases, every word matters greatly.
You also have time.
Yes. Yeah, nobody forces you to put that out there.
So in the release, they thanked Sean McDermott for doing an admirable job. And That is so petty. That is so pitiful. Like, are you kidding me? Bunch of double-digit win seasons. If the freaking staff on the defensive side of the ball could have got a stop with 13 seconds to go, he's going to a Super Bowl. I mean, come on, man. Admirable job.
Yeah.
That's so petty.
That's the equivalent of the lunch we went to in which one of the top head honchos of the old company we work with said, if you knew how long we've been waiting to try and find a replacement that was suitable. And I mean,
you're like, goodness gracious.
We're very grateful for the contributions that we got, and we're looking forward to the future. And that's the same thing, except, yes, you're right. You've got time to write it down, put it in a graphic, make an edit out of it, and socialize it.
Here's your problem in Buffalo with what he just did with Keon Coleman. You have to trade him. We're done here. He's got 2 years left on his deal. He can't play for you. That's it. You just kneecapped him. It's over.
And the leverage is gone. So, yeah. Good luck
still
getting you're not getting a return on that trade.
So still under contract for 2 more years. He's the highest drafted Bills receiver since Sammy Watkins back in 2014. Now they traded Sammy with the Chiefs, and that allowed their rival. I mean, obviously, you go back and look at all this. The Bills seem oddly all at once, sometimes really well run and really poorly run. It's the same owner that owns the destitute hockey franchise that's never any good. And I've always wondered how it is you could be, pretty good at running your football franchise and just have a nondescript, obsolete, useless-ass hockey franchise the last decade.
Yeah, they've tried a lot of different things, and by that I mean they just hire Lindy Ruff every 3 years. We should bring Lindy Ruff back. What do you say? Why don't we bring Lindy back here?
So Keon had a decent rookie season, 556 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns, and at times looked like he was an emerging go-to receiver. He regressed this year with 404 yards and 4 touchdowns. The point that they're making here, there's an immaturity situation there. There's a maturity issue there, and being addressed that in the press conference, and that is accurate. And that existed here for people who don't know. And that has got to be maddening when a guy's late to meetings and is fined for it, suspended for it, and then continues to be late for meetings. I mean, it's professional football. It's not what we do. You got an elite quarterback, man. Like, let's get it together. We're going to have to show up on time for work. That's how this works. We pay you millions of dollars. You get here. That's how it is, man. Got to show up for work. So I can't defend Keon. And I don't love that Keon ripped the staff after he left here. Now, no matter what we think about the staff and the situation, it's just not a good look, and it's completely unnecessary. You were on a team that went undefeated in the regular season. You got paid. I mean, just look, zip it. There's no cause. That's immaturity.
Yeah, he was a strange bird. I mean, when he committed to Florida State, it was from kind of a motel room, and he was shirtless on a live stream, and he picked Florida State out of the transfer portal from Michigan State, which for me, I thought, oh, okay, going to be kind of a strange career. But then he gets on campus, and you see him working with lower-level receivers, instructing them on first move, off the line of scrimmage, leverages, hand fighting, all kinds of tips. And you think, well, okay, this is a pretty good teammate. Also, he balled out in practice, too. It's not like he was somebody who would mail it in and pout and stand on the sidelines. He played hard.
Yep,
he made differences in practice. Early on, you saw exactly the same things in terms of body control and ability that the Michigan State highlight film would say he can do. He did it right away when he arrived on campus. So for a large swath of when we were going into practice and seeing those things, seemed like he fit right in. Might have been a little aloof personality-wise, but he was willing to take the time to be a good teammate in certain situations, which made the departure from Florida State all the more strange.
Before the deep thigh bruise, he was a very effective, very, very good football player, physical football player, responsible for one of the great catches that season against Syracuse. I mean, he made
strange
plays.
And funny also.
Yeah.
Really good, weird sense of humor, good timing.
Comical. Oh, he was beloved at the Buffalo press conference. I mean, just a lot of he's difficult to kind of figure out, to get a handle on, both good and bad. But you got to show up for work, so I can't defend that. I just don't get owners like, what are you doing, man? The guy's under contract for 2 more years. That's the end of it.
You know this better than me because you had the ticket, but Buffalo was on so many national games that I could get to see how these national broadcast crews would often dance around the subject of Keon Coleman's a problem. Every week they'd say, well, they're hoping to get something out of Keon Coleman this week, or Oh, interesting to see. Oh, Keon Coleman's now out there in the red zone. Good to see him. I know they've been working hard to see if they can get him going this season. Like little phrases like that sprinkled around from September all the way to the postseason that let you know that when they're doing those meetings with the production crew, they're told, well, yeah, he could play, but if he ever cares to.
That is the whole thing with him is he can play. And you get a long leash when you can play. But he's going to have to play somewhere else because I can't imagine that is ever going to work when you walk back into that building after the owner of the team has ripped you at a press conference that had nothing to do with you. It's strange. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Local news now.
The McCulloch County School Board will meet this week to address overcrowding at Lene with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update. Brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
Now, here's your Tallahassee weather report.
Hey there, I'm meteorologist Ryan Gold, and it's warmer this lunch hour than it has been. Temperatures will be in the upper 50s, climbing to the mid-60s by late afternoon. It'll be a cloudier day with some sun mixed in, and we will stay above average for the rest of the week into the weekend. From the ABC 27 First to Know Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ryan Gold.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey, Jeff, what's up, buddy?
I was just thinking, they never tell you that when you grow up, one of the things that you'll miss are the games that you created with your friends in the neighborhood.
Oh, good days.
So I would have my buddy come over, and then we'd make up these games that were kind of like a hodgepodge of every game that you've ever played.
Kind of like the bikes we built.
Correct. Yes. And it's a grand experiment. In the beginning, nobody knows how to play the game, and you argue about what the rules are going to be. And in the end, everybody knows how to play the game. By the end of that summer, you know the rules, the neighborhood know the rules, and you play that game like it's the greatest game ever played.
And you still try to break the rules, right?
Oh, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But at the end, Eddie, you're never going to play it again, and you'll think about it the rest of your life.
And the best game you ever played was that game.
Never been a better one.
Hey, you want to have a Gordo Smash, Jeff?
I do. I'd like that. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Returning to the Knolls, and listen, the countdown's on for FSU baseball. I had a neighbor say to me this morning when he saw me taking the trash can to the corner, it's pickup day in the Cameron neighborhood, and he's like, well, what are your thoughts on, and I said, you know what? I know you're about to ask me about football, and there are some things lingering around that I'm kicking around my head a little bit about football. But I think there's a lot of us that are kind of just a nice little respite from football for a few. Not that I'm elated that, college football is gone. I'm not. Because it is every Saturday a glorious thing to wake up to. Even when we're bad, I love the sport, so I'm still watching everything else. But you got the schedule up.
So I've done this to cope. This is legitimately something
you
I've
pull
done.
out the baseball schedule.
I'll be on
while
my phone
we're talking.
like FSU baseball schedule, and I'll just pull it up. I'll look at the weekends, and I'll think about what the weather will be like in March and April. Ooh, that might be a road game on a Tuesday. I should go over to the baseball grounds. I've been meaning to do that forever. All of those little internal dialogues that you have. But just looking at that, the one thing that hurts is I feel like we could have started this puppy on February 6th. I feel like we could have started this thing 1 week earlier. The February 13th, as we sit here on the 21st of January, feels just far enough out of reach that it's a little bit painful.
Testament to how good the baseball team has been lately, though, that you've got a countdown that you're yearning for. Normally, we do the countdown for football. We don't do a lot of countdowns for Florida State baseball, but I'm with you. I'm excited. I think the team's going to be really good, and we'll do our annual thing. I'll get a chance to talk to the coaches, and we'll do our interviews here, and I look forward to it. I also love the experience. Listen, sometimes, you pinch yourself because you get to do this job, and we've had the good fortune of covering Florida State and the sports world just in general for a long time. And that, again, I like to bring it up. It's never lost on me how fun that is and how cool it is that I get to do that. And then there's the stuff that you remember as a student and the things that you remember about campus and the stuff that you like about just the experience of being in a little college baseball town, if you will. I mean, Tallahassee's bigger than that, but you get it. I mean, this place has always wrapped its arms around baseball. It's funny. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and we were talking about in this era, the era of rev share specifically, not just NIL, but specifically rev share. And the conversation had to do with the way that it's going to affect all the other sports. And this is true at every university, but it's especially true right now as Florida State is trying to pull themselves out of this giant hole that they're in, this black hole that they're in, this suck that we find ourselves in football. All the money in the rev share, just about all the money in the rev share, is going to football. So if rev share is, I'm going to use $20 million for the purposes of the discussion, make the math easy. If the rev share total is $20 million, Florida State's spending 18 to 19 of that on football. And then just you get a few bucks, you get a few bucks, and you get a few bucks.
Here's $12.
Yeah, it hurts your feelings a little bit if you are a coach of any of the other sports.
Well, hi, Lonnie. Here's $17.
Yeah, it's got to be, I don't know how long it would take for resentment to build, but probably wouldn't take that long. First time you lose out on a player that would have cost you an extra 10 grand. It's not in there, Lonnie. I don't know what to tell you. We just don't have it. It's got to go to football because Mike is sucking. So it's just like, it's frustrating, right? I got to imagine that would, and I hope I don't see that manifest. I hope that I don't get that moment in time where I'm having a conversation with a coach off the record and then I begin to hear the spiteful way in which football is alluded to.
That would be where, if I'm that coach, and I know that they're not compensated top to bottom in football, but I would say as a softball coach or a baseball coach, 105, huh? You need 105? Really? 105 players?
Right.
105? Isn't it a 54-man roster in the NFL? You need 105? Because I bet they are being compensated at 60 deep or 70 deep beyond the scholarship.
Sure. Yeah, I do worry about it. But this conversation saw us kind of extrapolate from there what that means. Like, where are we going with this? And I said, well, not just here, but in many places, if you're part of the Super 2 to be moving forward, I just wonder how many of these sports are going to – I mean, you have to make tough decisions. Let's just skip to it. You have to make tough decisions. You got to say, maybe it's not worth it to us to be good in tennis. Maybe it's not worth it to us to be good in name your sport.
Well, we just expanded to lacrosse. Jesus, this is not the time to be expanding.
Right. So I just wonder which of the sports will be hardest hit. And this person said to me, well, it would appear to be basketball currently. And I said, I hear you. And you may even be right long term. But remember, basketball was part of the equation of the money making. We talked about, because of the numbers, that baseball doesn't do, that basketball was going to be part of the money-making formula for your overall athletic office. And I wonder, though, I don't think it's true here in Tallahassee. I think if they were, they're going to tell you that they're not going to have to do this. But for the purposes of our conversation, let's just assume they are. If somebody's got to suffer in the immediate future, I don't think it's going to be baseball. I think it would be basketball. I think both basketball coaches might even say that openly right now if they were sitting here in the studio. Because the women's basketball team sucks. The men's basketball team currently not very good. Now, Calvary's coming next year for basketball. They got dudes, real dudes, and difference makers coming next year.
And they got some yeses from influential people to help facilitate
for
that.
Now.
Yes. Yeah. But
for now,
if it happens once and you cash in, it's an ultimate all-in moment early in a career for a coach.
It is tough, man. You're going to have – now, listen, I know a lot of the other sports, those coaches, at least the ones that could read the tea leaves many moons ago, went out and fundraised. They understood that they weren't going to be able to fall back and run into the arms of their athletic department if they were little old golf or little old tennis or little old swimming or whatever it is, right? And I'm not trying to belittle those sports. It's a lot of hard work from a lot of those kids that have dedicated their lives to being the best at whatever the sport is that I'm talking about in the moment. But from a university standpoint and the spending standpoint and allowing you to be competitive, man, they are all in on getting football righted. And they have to, because everything is built around that. All the investment, all of the time, all of the facilities, all of the salaries, the huge salaries. It's all football. That has to do well, and then they can turn their attention to everybody else. But if that takes longer than it should, you could see these programs, including dynastic programs like softball and soccer, really take it on the chin. And I guess what I'm positing to you now, Tom, is that I think the sport that is just bludgeoned in all of this, the one that just get used to them not being any good at all, like don't even think about it, try to block it out of your mind, is women's basketball. They had no chance. Listen, when they're doling out
because of what soccer is, because of what softball is.
Because, yeah.
Well, how's women's golf going to be doing? Because you just lost two amazing players year over year. I enjoy that sport very much because it fits so nicely into a dead period in our Knoll-loving calendar that when there are some good tournaments down the stretch, even you got the ACC now on the ESPN app, that you get to watch us compete for a national championship. Oh, man, what a great couple of weeks that is when you get to see that. Or when we have somebody annually competing for the Augusta National Women's Amateur, at least one person, if not multiple. I hope that program's doing okay because I know Trey's got it rolling.
Well, Trey is a very big part of golf's success.
Of course. Yeah, and he's the director of golf. I get it. I understand it.
Yeah.
But specifically, he runs day-to-day ops on the men's side. Is the women's side going to replenish? I don't know. I'm sure in one text message he could say yes or maybe next year. But it actually had surpassed men's golf in terms of the level of play you had on campus for a couple of years, these past couple of years, because of Lottie and Mirabelle. Two of the top collegiate player and the top ranked amateur in the world.
Correct.
On the same team at the same time. So, but that's yet another sport. Beach volleyball, yet another sport that's above women's basketball. When you're talking about competition for a national championship relative to
the successes of those sports, no, there's no doubt.
Like women's hoops is 4th, 5th, 6th.
Nobody's trying to spend money on women's volleyball. Come on now. The beach volleyball thing. It's a wonderful sport, but
they're always playing for a natty.
We'll see. Now, listen, there is the residual effect of success. And somebody brought it up in the chat just now. Softball, just got done recruiting a top 5 class. They did indeed. They lost out on a Legacy, who was the number 1 recruit in the country, and that was disturbing. But they did indeed recruit a top 5 class. And Lonnie has won and won big and has for some time now. I don't think it falls off a cliff tomorrow, but I do wonder over time if we begin to see it denigrate some and the dominance and the annual trip out to Oklahoma. I do wonder if we start to see that wane. Look, the bottom line is they got to stop sucking in football. Like, get it together. You're effing everything up. The whole kit and caboodle gets effed by you guys.
Yeah, it's not just about enrollment numbers. It's not just about booster numbers. The collective, they'll tell you. The collective will tell you that if football wins, there's more money for everybody to go around.
Always.
On the NIL side. Like, hey, that's awesome that football's doing well. Hey, can we tweak a little something over here? I want to make a donation towards golf. I want to make a donation towards soccer. Can I make sure my dollars are steered that way? But those phone calls just don't happen when you're dead last in the ACC 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Or I should say over the aggregate of 2 years, to be more accurate.
Yeah. No, I do worry about it. I worry about for all those programs and all those student athletes. And I mean, those are legit student athletes. I'd like to see that work out for them. But I do think this is probably something to note, not just here. There are a lot of places now. You get it rolling, you end up in one of the big 2, and you get the extra money that comes with that. Things change. We'll see. By the way, M. Duddies, thank you for the compliment. He wrote, Jeff looks fly today. Is that a Rays hat or a Utah Mammoth hat or a Skull Tampa Bay Lightning hat? It's the latter. This would be the Bolts for the outdoor extravaganza, which takes place not this weekend, but the following.
Yeah, 2 Sundays from now.
Here we go, buddy.
Here's hoping on that weather. Ooh, buddy. They delayed the one in New York. I almost went to it 2 years ago. Thank God I didn't. They delayed it by 2 hours because of sun glare off of the ice. They did not anticipate that it would be sunny, and so they had to delay it from, I think it was a 2 o'clock puck drop to 4. This one is slated for 6:30, but it could still be in the upper 60s with rain. We'll see.
They have to absolutely allow for that, just the way they just did down in Miami. I mean, they got to know that
at least it's a
chance
retractable in
warm.
Miami.
Yeah.
Like what they're doing, you know how they're actually pulling this off this year is they are constructing a barn to keep the ice surface enclosed until the day of the event, and then they lift this giant barn off of the playing surface of Raymond James Stadium.
It'll be cool.
And they unveil the ice.
Have you seen the unveiling of the location for the Rays and what they're wanting to do there?
So is the community college?
Yeah.
Is that the one right next to Ray J?
Hillsboro.
Is that the one? Because there's parking at a college next to Legends Field.
Right, yeah.
Is that over there in Dale Mabry?
Might be. I got to double check exact spot, but it looks insane what they want to do. I mean, I'm all in.
I haven't seen the renderings. No.
Forget about it. It's great. It's great. And then the location is agreed to. So now it's a matter of get it done. But it's impressive. Brandon, you ask a good question, and it's one we're all kind of kicking it around here, really. It's been more of that kind of a week. Really, since the game ended. And this is something Tom and I have explored a little bit in talking, and I think a lot of football fans are talking about today. He wrote, Jeff, Indiana nailed the portal plus the quarterback and won it all like FSU in 2023. Since then, FSU hasn't hit that combo again. Can Indiana keep doing it yearly, or was it lightning? Oh, I think Indiana can sustain excellence. I think they can be a player in the Big Ten, which makes them a player to go to the college football playoff annually. They have, as I've said, the largest alumni base in the country. More living alumni with an IU degree than any other school in the country. And all of them are excited to pony up right now because they've just experienced something that we've experienced many times. And that certainly those Miami fans have experienced many times if they're old enough. And obviously Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and the superpowers that we all know of college football. But it is now changing, and I think when you give people a taste of something they never had, and they love it and realize, oh, my God, this is exhilarating. This is uplifting. This buoys an entire alumni base. This buoys the university. It also makes us a lot of money. Then, yeah, man, I think you're willing to really invest. And when you have a Mark Cuban who jumps on board after that initial success and says, I like the cut of your jib, Mr. Signetti, here you go. Here's a check. Let's keep on keeping on. Yeah, they're in a position. They're in one of the Power 2 conferences, the money conferences. They've got money. They've got alumni, and now they've had a success. They've got proof of concept. They're going to pay.
It could be the way back for their basketball program, too, because it brings in more revenues and more eyeballs and makes them cooler, makes Indiana cool again.
Yeah, so there's a few things here, though. I mean, will they go 16-0? You know, that was insane what we just witnessed. No, they're not going to go 16-0, but they're going to be, I think, a contender in the Big Ten for the foreseeable future. I don't know how they wouldn't be, right? I mean, now kids want to go play there. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
Craving something different? Discover the bold and surprising flavors of Peru at Café de Martín. From sizzling lomo saltado to savory handmade empanadas, every dish is made with heart, history, and soul. Crafted by classically trained Chef Martín himself. It's not just food. It's a trip to Peru without the plane ticket. Swing by Café de Martín today and taste the tradition. Café de Martín. Authentic Peruvian. Right around the corner.
This is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. You've probably heard the saying, marry the house, date the rate. Here's what that means. If you love the home, do not wait on the perfect interest rate. You can always refinance later, and I can help you plan for that from day one. In fact, a lot of homeowners I worked with last year are refinancing right now and saving hundreds each month. Others are using the equity in their homes to invest, buying second homes or rental properties that are already building wealth. So whether you're looking to lower your monthly payment, get cash out, or start an investment portfolio, let's talk strategy. I'll walk you through your options and find the smartest financial move for where you are right now. You can find me at loansforknowles.com. That's loansforknowles.com. You can reach me at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. I'm Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage, and I want to help give you the keys to your next opportunity.
Pay-per-view fights can ring up big bills, especially since in the Octagon, there is one every few weeks. That's why the 7th Hill Tap Room right downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill carries every single fight. Plus, unlike most pay-per-view bars, there's no cover charge. And drink specials, too, like $3 select domestic beers and more. And if you enjoy international soccer, 7th Hill opens early. $2 mimosas on Sundays, anyone? The 7th Hill Tap Room, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, just downstairs from Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas.
Heading into championship weekend, the Seattle Seahawks are plus 145 favorites to win the Super Bowl. Rams plus 230, Patriots plus 250. The Denver Broncos eat 11-1. In the AFC Championship game, Patriots laying 5.5 at Denver. In the NFC, Seattle 2.5 point favorites over the Rams. Scotty Scheffler makes his season debut at the American Express at the Pete Dye Stadium course in La Quinta, California this week. He's a plus 290 favorite to win the event. Ben Griffin 20-1, Ludwig Ahlberg 22-1. Florida State with an upset win as a 10.5-point dog at Miami, and the Florida Gators roll to a win over LSU at home. Score $500 in rewards with the GBank First Bet VSiN Trifecta. Details at vsin.com/GBank. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Revitalize your bathroom with big savings at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select vanities and free delivery during our bath savings event. Plus, get up to 40% off select shower heads. No matter what style you're looking for, we've got you covered. Shop for your bathroom refresh at Lowe's. We help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can choose the best coverage option for you. Because you know you. Like, you know that hiking isn't for you. Sure, it sounds nice to be in nature while exercising, but that's what a gym and houseplants are for. I mean, you don't even like walking upstairs. So why would you walk up a hill for miles? To what, end up high in the air? Come on, you know you're scared of heights. Only you know you. So get coverage options within your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Pricing coverage match limited by state law.
Tired of calling 1-800 numbers just to get put on hold? Flush those numbers down the drain and call Terry West Plumbing and Septic Services, now offering Terry's Toilets, providing clean, reliable porta potties for any job site, special event, or backyard party. Real local people doing real work. No robots, no AI, no call centers. For all your septic services and portable restroom needs, one local call wipes away the competition. Call 850-510-8558. That's 510-8558. Or visit terrywestplumbing.com. When you call, we answer.
Water is your home's worst enemy. It finds cracks, soft spots, and weaknesses. But not on our watch. At Gutter Solutions and Waterproofing, we're veteran-owned and built different, driven by detail and the pursuit of excellence. We install seamless gutters, underground drainage, and waterproofing systems that don't fail. Because when you live with discipline, water doesn't stand a chance. Gutter Solutions and Waterproofing. Visit guttersolutions.net. With us, it's personal.
Love to compete on the dartboard? Then it's time to head to the CP. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill is Tallahassee's premier dart bar, featuring steel tip boards and soft tip internet play. The Corner Pocket hosts leagues and tournaments regularly. Just check out their social media to find a time that works for you. And in between games, grab a pint and a bite in the cool AC, or enjoy yourself outside on the deck. Whether you want to catch a game or start one of your own, the place to be is the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachie Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
I'll never forget
that moment.
As long as I live.
As long as I live.
My first call ever as a member of the National Guard.
When we got to the armory, they briefed us on the wildfires. They were getting dangerously close to homes.
Helicopters were going up to drop water on the fires. Guys in the unit were preparing for firefighting with local fire crews. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Florida National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
About Indiana and college football and Florida State's plight and the new era of the sport and all that good stuff. somebody asked, what did Mendoza do at Cal that made you think that, he could go to Indiana and be the player that he was, a Heisman winner and all that? Well, a lot of times with quarterbacks, I like to look at a number of things. First of all, he had a season at Cal in which he threw for over 3,000 yards, completed nearly 70% of his passes, and had a 16-6 touchdown interception ratio. So he was a good player at a bad program. I thought when he came here, he actually was game. The game they lost, they couldn't block Farmer, and he was on the run for his life a lot of that game. But he showed signs of being a good player. We would not have elevated him to the top player in the game. But when you surround him with really good coaching, and he ended up having 2 running backs that I like a lot, an offensive line that is very good, and a couple of receivers that are studs. And all of a sudden, you're doing some things. When you're not constantly playing from behind, it changes what you're capable of. And quarterbacks are reliant a lot of times on a lot of other factors that don't show up just statistically to reveal who they are. There are quarterbacks with good numbers that flat out, I'll be sitting there watching and think to myself, yeah, he can't play. That's the byproduct of a system. Or teams in a poor conference, 9 of his 12 games are against terrible defenses. That system all adds up to huge numbers. Can't play, doesn't translate. Other guys, you look and the numbers aren't great. And you're like, bad offensive line, marginal receivers, tough conference. Numbers aren't going to be good. So that's where evaluation is absolutely pivotal. And look, man, Indiana did not have a bevy of elite players according to the star ranking system that we use for high school recruiting. They didn't. But what they did have was a bunch of guys who played a lot of football, grown-ass men, that were properly evaluated for a system on both sides of the ball that saw a lot of continuity. Those coaches have been with Cignetti way back, and they know what they're looking at. I think, and we're going to carry over this conversation next hour, but I think, honestly, we're going to end up, because most of the time you can say there's nothing new under the sun, right? When you hear a song that moves you, that blows you away, it's not like somebody figured out a new chord that never existed. It's the order with which they play it and how they use it. That chord's been played before, but they figured out a better way and perhaps, added a melody, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, man, I love this. And it resonates.
There's a song out right now that's popular. It's Sam Fender, and it's called People Watching, and it's mostly on like the spectrum. It's like, what would you call it? Like indie popular song. Mm-hmm. So you hear it as bumper music. You'll hear it in commercials.
Right.
And it's just the Killers. It's the same thing as the Killers did 20 years ago.
Right.
But it's still good.
But it's good. Right.
If you heard a new band, it's like, oh man, they're clearly ripping off AC/DC, but the song is good. You're like, well, right. But I love AC/DC. So you know what? This is fine.
But this is where I'm going to take a right-hand turn and tell you, I think we're going to find out that there's something else with the way in which Indiana evaluated, assessed, developed, and implemented in practice this team, this program, that they did something that others were not attuned to. Like, clearly. Now, what you can do, here's what I mean. When you look at what Miami did, it's the same thing that what Ohio State does. It's the same thing. It's go out, build through the trenches, get dominant players, 4- and 5-star players, elite players, really get after recruiting, kick ass in recruiting, and get the best players. Tried and true, buddy. Like my friends at Tried and True Consulting, that is it. That goes on forevermore. If you get good players, lots of them, you'll win games. Lots of them. If you get a dominant offensive line, or you're able to put together a dominant offensive line, you're able to put together a dominant defensive line, you can own the line of scrimmage in 10 out of the 12 games you play, you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to win most of them. You're going to be in a position, certainly, to win all of them. Now, you might screw it up. You may throw a pick down around the goal line against SMU. You may lose at home on a Friday night to Louisville. It can happen. See Miami. But you're good enough to go on the road and beat Texas A&M. You're good enough to beat Ohio State. You're good enough to be one drive away from winning the national championship because you have that. Now, once you have that, you sprinkle in a Malachi Tony, who's a difference maker. You get him the ball in space and watch magic happen. Easier said than done, but that's a tried and true formula. We've seen that. We've done that. Lots of teams have done that. Indiana did not go and bring in an elite haul of badasses. They didn't. Not at least according to the high school recruiting rankings. They did bring in a bunch of guys that were extremely experienced. They did bring a bunch of guys with them as a coaching staff that they had at James Madison. So one thing about something like that, they were successful there at JMU. You go to Indiana, that first year their schedule was easy. They got the byproduct of a very easy schedule. They hit the ground running without nearly the same amount of teaching they would have had to do with a completely new roster because they had a lot of kids they'd already been coaching. They had those kids. They brought them with them. The crux of what they were doing was understood from day one. Now, from there, the magic is in evaluating those players that were lesser than, quote unquote, or lesser known, certainly, and figuring out how they fit in your system, how they fit what you're trying to do. Clearly, Cignetti has an unbelievable understanding of how to motivate, how to change minds, how to convince people that there's something more there. Like those kids somewhere along the way completely bought in to this, as he described it. I believe his words were something to do with the impossible or absurd dream, something like that. He was like, just believe in the absurd. We can do this. I know that nobody says we can, but I think we can. And you think you can? I think we can. Let's do this. And somewhere along the way, it went from just talking about it to believing it, to believing that they could do it. They're very good coaches. It's evident when you watch Indiana play. They don't make a ton of mistakes. They play well together, and they fight. They're also tough. It's tough to get that blend. A lot of times maybe you can overcome some deficiencies that you lack in talent because you are buttoned up, because you are disciplined, because you are well coached, focused, because you do have a situation in which you're greater than the sum of your parts, right? Like maybe that's the deal, right? But that what they had was toughness to boot. That's a really tough team. You don't see that a lot of times. You'll see people make up for certain areas of weakness with other strong attributes and things that you can instill week to week. But, man, they were very, very tough, very, very smart. And ultimately, you go out and you do bring in a Mendoza who is clearly a very good quarterback, very good leader, well-liked. Those kids play awfully hard with him. They care deeply. It's on display as to why, by the way. The run alone on fourth down, it's a snapshot of it.
Yeah, I'd say that you couldn't use a lot of cliches with this Indiana group because it's hard to put your arms around and get down on a granular level. But one of the cliches you can use is that there weren't any egos in the room, clearly, with that roster. Clearly. And you could say they had no right to have egos because they weren't recruited highly enough, or they didn't have any bona fides, or they weren't NIL compensated to this crazy level.
They will be moving forward.
Well, that's the next challenge that he's going to face, is that this next wave, this infusion of cash they have to go acquire talent, is you've got a great head start because you've got the
belief.
Well, you've got the credibility of a national championship. You got the ring on your finger. So when somebody walks into your office, it's a little bit different when they're new to the operation. You can say, this is how it's done around here. You can buy in or you can leave. So he's got a head start, but you're about to have egos walk into the room, and let's see if he can handle that next challenge. I'm not trying to say he can't, because clearly they put their players in a position to succeed unlike anybody else in the country. That's how they got so far so fast. But he's got a new challenge that's in front of him. As for Mendoza, what do we think of him at Cal? It's funny. I pulled up the scouting report. I found it in the archives of the Third and Lang piece from Cal Week last year.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things it said from the tapes the game tape we got to watch was when in doubt, he loves back shoulder throws. And boy, oh boy, ain't that true with Mendoza. Isn't that true in that national championship game? He loves him a back shoulder when he's got to have it. 2 of the key throws in that game. There were more of them that weren't completed, but 2 of the key throws in the game, including the Becker throw on 4th and 5. He just is sitting back, and he knows outside the numbers is my best bet to win here.
If you've got a Charlie Becker, I'm throwing him that 9 times out of 10. 6'4.5", 215, runs a 4.48. Okay. Hands the size of Texas. Makes plays, makes catches, did all year long, and wasn't a starter at the beginning of the year. That's insane. There's a guy, by the way, who was not recruited by him. That's a player that they had to convince to keep his commitment to IU. He was the previous staff that saw Charlie Becker out of Nashville, Tennessee. He was a 3-star wide receiver. And the coach that got fired was the one who recruited him. The new coaching staff comes in. He's going to go elsewhere. And at some point, they get around to looking at the tape from what he was in high school. And Signetti's like, oh, no. Don't let him walk. I like that. I like what I'm seeing here. We got a little something. Keep him around. Some of the other guys, he said, have a good day. Have a good day. We don't need you. Not going to work out.
Well, that makes the next part of it for them fun, which is, am I going to be a guy who, if I'm Signetti, I want systems players with a couple of cherries on top rather than go get me the highest price roster in the country guy. He's got to choose his next path. It's so far from the discussion we're having that it's nice to almost surrogately look at them and see how they're going to manage their situation. But for us, it's such a far cry because he is operating with a credibility. He walked through the door with a credibility with a bunch of his players to Bloomington that right now has to be rebuilt through mat drills and spring camp and off-season workouts and fall camp for Mike and his staff.
I think, whenever there's a success of any kind, whether it's a business or an organization like this with football, or if it's a certain way of training for a sport, you'll watch everybody adopt it. It's a copycat world, copycat league. You hear those phrases all the time. If somebody's very successful doing something, others would like to pick their brain and find out how. Coaching clinics exist. These guys are usually not so close to the vest with how they call plays or what their offense or defense is. I think what would be considered proprietary here that he may not be willing to part with is the process of the film review and assessment of players and how to apply it to what they do. You wouldn't tell somebody how to do their job in that way. You want to know what offense I run? Well, they're all variations of other offenses that you grew up learning about, implementing, working with. You've learned from other coaches. So I'm not going to hide that from you. I run a 4-3 over, 2 high, whatever. But whatever it might be. You can see that on film. You've seen me coach at Elon. You saw me coach at IUPI. You saw me coach. You know what I run. So I will be forthcoming with the way that we implement that. I'll tell you about how we coach it, some of the nuances within the system that you're already aware of, its main principles. I'll talk to you about that. But I'm probably not going to tell you everything about how I worked a freaking miracle in 2 years, right? Because to me, there's the magic, there's the secret sauce, whatever that was. And Indiana couldn't have known it. I talked about this yesterday. If they did, they would have hired him long before they got around to doing so in his freaking 60s. Indiana has sucked for 100 years. If they knew Signetti was a badass while residing at JMU or Elon or anywhere else, they would have called. They didn't know. They ended up getting sold his vision, whatever that was, Signetti's vision, and what he pitched to them. They had nothing to lose, and they said yes. It was the smartest decision they ever made. They lucked into, they also deserve credit because somebody pulled the trigger. Somebody convinced the others, the power brokers that be in Indiana. Somebody had to say, are you buying it? Do you believe in him? Do you think we should do it? Somebody said yes.
He's the coaching equivalent of a 7th round pick. Everybody passed on him multiple times.
Yeah.
But then somebody said yes, and bam.
That's why it's not something that I think you're going to see replicated. I don't think it's something that – now, again, you may find out that there is an assessment process. There's a film review process. There's something that they're doing that might get vetted at some point. I'll tell you when it'll happen. It'll happen when the assistants go. It'll happen when people come calling for your guys. And this is where it gets very difficult. You got something that you've had, that you've worked with for a long period of time. You got a coach that's your right-hand man, that is your guy, and he knows everything about you, and you know everything about him, and you work. It's symbiotic. It's beautiful. It all works. And then somebody calls that guy because they're watching you win, and they go, well, if we can't get you, we want your guys. Look at Sean McVay's coaching tree currently in the NFL. Jesus, it's everywhere.
Yeah, I know. It's like 5 minutes old, and everybody's everywhere. Yes.
Everybody's everywhere, and they're all having success. Liam Cohen talks about having been on that coaching tree and what he learned from the guy. Ben Johnson with the Bears was on that coaching tree.
KOC in Minnesota. If he had a quarterback, if he has anything close to a quarterback, they produce.
So clearly, McVay has a way of going about his business that resonates, translates, works.
And he's on the Gruden tree because he was an assistant under John.
Yeah, and so people started picking off. I mean, that's part of what you tip your cap to with McVay right now in the NFL. They were, after winning the Super Bowl and pushing their chips in salary cap hell. They were going to have to rebuild the whole kit and caboodle. And then he's like, you know what? I'll tell you what. I want to go away from the offense that we're running. I'm going to tell Goff to have a good day. I want a drop-back passer who can really drive the ball. They got one in Detroit they're not using until their maximum effort here. Let's see if we can get him in, stave off some of the woes that come with trying to figure out our cap situation for now. We'll grab a couple free agents, and we'll see what happens as we go along the way. And they did. They had, a down time, but not long, and they were competitive and good. And now they're great. Now they could win the Super Bowl this year. We'll see. But those guys got picked off, and at some point the Indiana assistants will get picked off, and then you'll start to hear like, well, he does this, this, and this. I don't know. I find it all fascinating.
So how do we learn?
You go to a coaching clinic, you see if you can curry favor with one of those guys.
And we are Marshall. We're like, hey, coach.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach Bowden, can you teach me the ways of the veer?
That is, by the way, the next step. What's going to happen is, can you imagine? Now, Cignetti doesn't strike me as a terribly giving man when it comes to those things. Like, I can't imagine that if you're a stranger to him, you're going to just all roll up on Curt Cignetti and be like, listen, I really do admire everything you just did. Well, get in line, pal. The whole country's admiring what I just did. Well, but could you know? Good luck to you. I mean, that's probably how that goes, right?
Coach, we're last place in the ACC the last 2 years. We're of no threat to you. We're of no threat.
Yeah, but I just showed you that within 2 years you could be. So we're not doing that. No, it's amazing. They are going to have a different set of challenges than they've had in the build-up to this. I think there's almost a less is more approach that Florida State could take, that Mike should take. And it doesn't involve the traditional forms of motivation, like the yelling and the screaming and all that. Everybody's a mercenary now, it seems like. I think you got to tell somebody how they fit, how they work. I think you can have this conversation.
Well, then, but not be afraid to walk away from them if it doesn't work.
Without hesitation.
It does not have to be everybody touches the ball.
No, this is not 1998. You do not have to father anybody around here. You don't have to put your arms around people. These are paid players. You bring him in if you think they fit. He's failed in evaluation lately. That's been a big problem. Obviously, you bring in DJ. Whiff. That sets you back a little bit. I wasn't in love with the idea of bringing Tommy here. Everybody got mad at me when I pointed out his many foibles. You got to get it right. They pulled the trigger on Mendoza. You got to get it right. Now, it doesn't have to be a potential Heisman winner. It doesn't have to be a $4 million man. That seems like a luxury item if you have everything else. In fact, if you don't have everything else, you can't spend $4 million on the quarterback. You don't have it, nor should you do it. when you have everything else, like Miami's offensive line, Miami's defensive line, then you pull the trigger on a multi-million-dollar quarterback if you want.
Yeah, they paid Cam Ward out the wazoo at the time for what the market was, and their secondary was, a travesty.
Nightmare. And it's a good thing they paid Cam Ward, or they would have lost 7 games.
Yeah, but to your point, if you're trying to go the distance, would that money have been better spent on a couple of good corners and safeties, and would your record have been the same or a little bit better, marginally better, if you had an above-average quarterback? Because that ground game was something last year.
Yeah, Cam was really good, though. So like Carson Beck, I wouldn't have given Carson Beck $4 million. No, and they weren't winning games because of him.
No, and they knew when they took him that there was a concern that maybe his arm wouldn't be as fresh.
That lollipop at the end.
It really was, wasn't it?
It's a toughie.
Did you see D-Rob's tweet about that?
That sorry throw?
The sorry throw?
Mm-mm.
So they've got the bunch to the right, the formation they use to go to work all the time. And he throws away from it.
Yes, he
It's
does.
like he just decides to go rogue in that moment. I'm going to go win this thing right now when there's no need to. There's plenty of time. You've got the timeouts. Field position's good. You got the bunch set to the right.
They didn't have the timeouts. They didn't have the timeouts.
Sorry, they were out of timeouts. You're right. You're right. So they're at
Yeah.
50 whatever seconds. It's
Yeah.
college football. First downs is what I'm thinking. First down clock
Yeah,
stoppages. You're at midfield. You're going to be fine in terms of getting down the
Yeah,
field.
no, he didn't have to force it. I agree with you, but I'm just saying.
No, you're right. They did not have the timeouts.
Yeah.
But on the right side in the bunch, you see the route combo that they used all season long. And there's Tony in the middle of it, and he just decides to throw a 1-on-2 ball.
A lollipop that he underthrows. There's safety help over the top. Thanks for playing. By the way, if you watch the replay from the end zone, my man almost doesn't catch that. It's a DB catch. It's a DB catch. Like, come on, partner, now. That looked like it was difficult. That's like sticking a catcher out in center field or something. It looked a little dicey. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
AC and electric is what we do. Service, repairs, and installation too. 222-7722. Parker Services. Comforts to call away.
Invest in a Peak Performance membership and you'll buy peace of mind in knowing that you're extending the life of your system and probably saving money on your power bill too. The program includes comprehensive tune-ups that keep your system running at its maximum efficiency. And Peak Performance members get many benefits, including priority service. Members jump to the front of the line when their comfort system fails. And a 15% discount on all parts. The Peak Performance membership pays for itself over and over again. Call today and have peace of mind. And now offering electrical services too.
Parker Services. Comforts to call away.
Florida license number CMC 050334.
Go custom with your window coverings with help from Budget Blinds of Tallahassee. Budget Blinds brings their showroom to your home with dozens of color and pattern choices. Just tell them what you love and they'll make it happen. From designing custom draperies and Roman shades to color matching your blinds and shutters.
I'm Gary, the local owner of Budget Blinds Tallahassee, where you get beautiful style and expert service for any budget. Call 668-4835 for a free consultation online at budgetblinds.com/Tallahassee.
You probably already know that Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is your one-stop destination for all pool maintenance needs, offering everything you need from chemicals, cleaners, vacuums, nets, and more. But that's not all. Pinch a Penny also carries a huge selection of premium hot springs hot tubs paired with easy financing options, making these luxury hot tubs affordable for everyone. And if you have an older hot tub and you're worried about the hassle of removing it, worry no more. Pinch a Penny will not only remove and haul away your old hot tub, but also offer a trade-in value for a credit towards your new one. So why wait? Visit Pinch a Penny's 12,000 square foot showroom today on Greer Road and discover how effortless and affordable owning a fantastic hot tub can be. Find out more at TallahasseeHotSpring.com. That's TallahasseeHotSpring.com.
It's where you raise your kids, where friends become family, where every corner has a story worth telling. It's your neighborhood. At ABC 27, we share those stories, bringing you news that connects communities, builds pride, and reminds us we're part of something bigger. We are ABC 27, in your neighborhood.
G-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. G-Spark, G-SparkConstruction.com. We conquer all peaks, we fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. G-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. G-Spark, G-SparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Man, so I'm trying to think, how many days do you think we are away from starting to get word? That's the next big thing that we do is the schedules talk and like when we find out who we're playing and like, because I'm thinking of things that relate football, just a nugget of hope, something to get your spirits up, as opposed to comparing and contrasting to how far away we seem to be based on what we just saw in the college football playoff.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the one thing. Like the Indiana discussion's fun to a degree, and then you start looking in the mirror. You're like, okay, well, that's what they are. That's what they have. I don't know how that relates to what we are and what we have, but maybe we could learn a thing or two from them if we care to learn. But you're right. Once you look at schedules, you start to think, oh, okay, so looks like we're going to catch this team after they go on a brutal West Coast road trip. All right, I like that.
Yeah, right.
Things like that you're looking for spots on the schedule. Next week is when we're to learn Florida State's ACC.
So it is
slate.
it is next week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's okay. I'm excited. I'm thinking that'll be our first W's and L's.
I mean, that is tradition. It is tradition. The fun part is you're going to get Alabama when you hit the road and you go play them in a spot where they're going to be hating ass on their own coach, energy Alabama fans. And they're going to say, well, we hope we don't screw it up this year. And then if you're in a game at halftime with them, you're going to turn Bryant Denny against the sideline of their own home team.
I think if I were an Alabama fan, there are two things that I resent about my current situation with DeBoer.
Only two?
Two that are primary, two that bother me. One, Alabama's on the wrong end of some ass beatings these days where you're like, what? This doesn't happen to us. I mean, Indiana bludgeoned us in a way that was unholy. I mean, we were emasculated. That score could have been way worse, and it was already really bad. And if we're not sitting around lying to one another, Florida State kind of beat us up. Florida State was the more physical team and kind of roughed us up a little bit. We made a couple plays in the second half that made it interesting, but we really were kind of manhandled in that game physically. So that would bother me. I'd want to know, as an Alabama fan, why, since DeBoer has taken over, my offensive line, soft, tissue paper, can't run the ball. That's not very Alabama-like. That's not what we do.
I thought when he got his guy in here to call plays that everything was going to be fine.
That, you know what I mean? So that would be something I would think to myself, all right, I'm not cool with all that. I don't like that. And then I would also, given that I am now playing the role of an Alabama fan in Alabama, say in Tuscaloosa at the local diner, talking to my fellow Alabama fan over a cup of coffee to start my day, The guy's name is mentioned for every job that opens. Every one of them. USF job would open up. DeBoer could be a candidate. Like, what are we doing out here, my man? What kind of agent you got working for you, Mr. DeBoer?
So their ramp up for our game, because the SEC has already long released their schedule. They play East Carolina to start the season. Now, hang on a minute. You're hosting ECU, who has a propensity
Their game.
They could just scare you if you're not feeling so great about yourself. Then they hit the road to go play Kentucky. Have they named their next head coach? I don't even know.
Yeah, they did.
They had to have.
Yeah, they did.
So they're on the road playing Kentucky the week before they host us. They do have a stretch of 5 weeks in the middle of the season, in which it starts on October the 10th. They host Georgia, then they travel to Tennessee, then they host Texas A&M, then they have a bye week.
Oh, yeah, that's where Will Stein took over the Kentucky job, the OC from Oregon.
Ah, good point.
Anyhow, that could be toughy.
So it's Georgia home, road Tennessee, home for Texas A&M, then a bye week, then they hit the road to play LSU. Ooh, buddy, that is a meaty middle of the sandwich.
Especially if you can't run the ball and your coach is rumored for whatever job is open that day.
That's right.
Good God, man. I haven't gone over to AL.com in recent months, but I got to imagine the dude who hated how shabbily dressed DeBoer was hates the porous offensive line more than he does the shirts.
Yeah, there might be a segment of people saying he's too negative right now. He's just far too negative.
Oh, man. No, I got to imagine that will be interesting. The problem is look, Alabama hasn't stunk like Florida State has stunk. We did beat them head-to-head last year. They also made the college football playoff. I know, probably didn't deserve to, but they did. And they won enough games that they weren't a lost cause not thought of by anybody in the game the way that we were. So I say that to say this. When we walk into that stadium next year, and I'm going for certain, who's the more sheepish? Who's the one staring at their shoes as they enter into the stadium? Is it Alabama, afraid of what could be lost right here, right now, if we lose to that program again? Or is it us going, that was a fluke, we're going to get killed? They're mad.
If it was me, I'd walk in the stadium saying, hey, guys, we haven't won a road game in 2 years, going on 3.
Don't lose this one.
Don't lose this.
Well, what you would get is a response from Alabama fans going, no. If it is to be, it is to be. Get him out.
That's right. Yep. And oddly, there would be the peace in your section. You're like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens. You're like, yep, we will see what happens, pal.
Yes, we will.
Yes, we will. We should.
I would.
I am right now.
We're going to do it.
All right, DeBoer.
Touchdown.
Let's kill him or get killed. Get killed.
The problem is, Tom, we kind of thought this past year was supposed to be that for our guy.
Yeah. Teflon.
Unbelievable. You need a more buttoned-up case, apparently. Your RICO Act didn't work this time around.
The administration said, mistrial. Mistrial.
They can't say it in perpetuity. We got the goods. Mounting video evidence. At some point, you're going to have to call it a day.
I need 2 forms of government ID, a police officer on the premises.
Our friends at T-Spark Enterprises awarded the Distinguished Gold Elite Commercial Contractors Award, if you didn't know, which is pretty cool. A testament to excellence. I'll just call it that. Call T-Spark for your next roofing or construction project. They conquer all peaks. TSparkConstruction.com. Yes, they're licensed, of course. I'll give you that number in just a moment. They are also involved with commercial tenant build-outs. They prevent leaks before they start with your house. And, of course, if you're just changing your roof or starting up a new business, you want to go to T-Spark. T-Spark coming to inspect your roof today. If I could find that licensing number, I would. Here it is, CGC 152-5336, CCC 133-1204.
Your local news now.
Georgia Bureau of Investigation has identified 2 victims in a double homicide that occurred on Sunday. Desmond Daniels, 24, and Tobias McIntyre, 33, were found dead at the scene in different locations but within close proximity to each other. Officials believe the 2 were initially together in a vehicle when the incident occurred. The GBI said both bodies will be sent to the crime lab where autopsies will be performed. Anyone with information is asked to contact the GBI at 229-225-4090. A Burger King restaurant in Bainbridge was destroyed in an early morning fire Monday, resulting in a total loss of the building. Fire started around 2 a.m. No one was inside the building at the time of the fire. The general manager of the location said that the Bainbridge Burger King will not be up and running for months. Details about the fire remain limited. This is Rachel Anay with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by McLemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 65. Southeasterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected tonight, lows dip down to about 48. Highs around 74 tomorrow. Slight chance of rain showers Friday and Saturday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 59.
Hey, it's Greg Tish. This Friday, January 23rd, the Greg Tish Show is taking a field trip live from the Tallahassee Classical School. We'll be on the air from 7 to 10 a.m., hanging out with students, teachers, and staff, asking the important questions also, like who's actually awake before 6 o'clock and who's already on their 3rd cup of coffee. It's education, community, and real talk without the pop quizzes. Friday morning, 7 to 10, live from the Tallahassee Classical School on the Greg Tish Show.
Hey, Jeff, what's up, buddy? I was just thinking, I never tell you that when you grow up, one of the things that you'll miss are the games that you created with your friends in the neighborhood.
Oh, good days.
So I would have my buddy come over, and then we'd make up these games that were kind of like a hodgepodge of every game that you've ever played.
Kind of like the bikes we built.
Correct. Yes. And it's a grand experiment. In the beginning, nobody knows how to play the game, and you argue about what the rules are going to be. And in the end, everybody knows how to play the game. By the end of that summer, you know the rules, the neighborhood know the rules, and you play that game like it's the greatest game ever played.
But they still try to break the rules, right?
Oh, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But at the end, Eddie, you're never going to play it again, and you'll think about it the rest of your life.
And the best game you ever played was that game.
Never been a better one.
Hey, you want to have a Gordo Smash, Jeff?
I do. I'd like that. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
You know, it's funny, Tom. I don't know if you do this because you're more in lockstep with what our fine friends at Warchant do on a regular basis, including our mutual friend and cohort, Matt Lasser. But, like, I find it difficult to read, for example, after Norvell meeting, another Florida State visit upcoming for 2027 quarterback Jace Johnson. Like, I do. I'm not going to lie about that. I
edited that article, sir. So what do you want to know?
Nothing.
Okay.
I mean, that's the thing.
That's the point?
Yeah, that is the point. I'm kind of like, well, I can't get all wrapped up in who we're trying to bring in 2027. I don't know if the guy's going to survive 2026, and therefore none of these guys will matter if he doesn't.
Well, that's fair. I think what you're looking for at this point are indications that recruiting, maybe the 7th year is the charm, is being taken more seriously, that there's approach from NIL rev share perspective that's a little bit more aggressive, that locks kids in, locks them down, and creates momentum. Recruiting rankings are in some ways totally fickle, but in the days of rev share, what you're seeing are fewer surprises in the early signing period because the money's agreed to for a lot of the players. And there is a finite amount of money, even if you've got an NIL budget like Miami's or Texas Tech's or wherever. There's a finite amount of money that you're going to throw at certain position groups. So if you can lock kids in earlier, you can get to the number that they like, then you do create real momentum for yourself and also a little bit of job security too, that if it comes down to it 50-50, if you've got a top 10 class committed to you, you're going to get the nod for the next year at 7-5 or 8-4.
Yeah, as long as you're not a nightmare. Yeah, and the one thing I will say, people ask all the time about wanting a bit of a reprieve. So, for example, the case that's everybody's paying attention to right now, and I guess this was applicable to like anybody we bring in that's a high-profile player because of what we now know does carry a little bit of weight, or what we're seeing act as a deterrent. And that is, so the Duke case, the Darian Mensah Miami Duke case is very interesting. The Duke released a statement on the lawsuit, on the ongoing transfer dispute. They engaged the Duke in legal action to protect its rights. Mensah announced his decision to enter the transfer portal on the final day that you could. We all know that. He was set to be in a second year of a contract with Duke that earned him $4 million annually, by the way. Duke got mad about it and said, no. And they're suing him in the state of North Carolina, saying Mr. Mensah has an existing contract with Duke, which the university intends to honor, and we expect he will do the same. The court ordered temporary restraining order yesterday, but then you saw that, this looks like, Tom, I just, from everything I'm reading, this looks like it's going to get shot down. He's going to be able to transfer.
It looks like it. What's interesting here is I haven't seen anybody explicitly say it, but it appears this is a straight NIL contract and not a revenue share deal with the university.
That is the problem, because I think the rev share contracts have teeth and the
buyouts.
NIL ones
Yes.
do not. And that's the point you're making. No, so sorry.
No.
That's right. The buyout is the
As usual.
teeth. The buyout's the teeth, Tom. It's not the legal language. It's that teams aren't going to spend $4, $5, $6 million to get a kid, to give you to get the kid in and then have to pay him. If it's part of their rev share, because their rev share is $21 million. So what, I got to spend $4 to get him from you, or $2 to get him from you, and then give him $4? That's $6 of my $21? Hell no.
Well, and he's on a 2-year deal, which means that, yes, if he signed it a year ago, that would be NIL because it's pre-house. That's pre-house settlement. My question is, where is the College Sports Commission looking into why this quarterback is being paid $4 million in NIL and not revenue share?
Tom.
How is that market value, sir? I want Duke investigated today.
No, and they'll laugh just in the same way that LSU and everybody did who's flaunting their NIL budgets. And this is, again, where, what we witnessed and suffered through this year at Florida State because of the naivete of the athletic director cannot stand this time next year, and I don't think it will.
Which is why
I don't think it will.
When you open talking about, I can't get up for these 2027 quarterback, is his kid going to visit during a junior day articles? Understood. But these are little markers of, did you learn your lesson? Have you learned your lesson on how to approach these things and how to lock kids in? And we'll see. We'll see how that looks this year.
I'm going to guess that they have. I mean, there's no – it's embittered and disappointed and jaded as I might sometimes sound regarding the head coach, athletic director, the situation we found ourselves in, the inability to have cachet built up to really get after it in NIL through this portal cycle, all of that. I do think they have learned a very valuable lesson. It's a shame that we had to wear it. It's a shame we put ourselves in an unenviable position, in some cases untenable. But there's no way that you walk away from that knowing what's at stake and just go, well, maybe it'll work out next year and the rules that I think should be in place will be in place. They're not going to do that. Not going to do that. And also, I don't know whether or not the hire of John Garrett's going to make a huge difference or not, but he just got a crash course, if he didn't know already, and what it means not to have your ducks in a row. And it's not his fault. He got here late in the process, obviously, but I mean, he saw what the result was.
Those communications are going to have to be so much better across the board. And you're right. They're brand new. They're novel, but we'll see how that operation looks. I think you heard this, so did I, that somewhere before Christmas there was a sea change in terms of philosophy, a come to Jesus.
Well, there
that was overdue.
oh man, this is not what I thought it was.
Right, and that doesn't help us too much in this past cycle. It doesn't help us too much in this past portal cycle. But what it does do is it sets the tone that you can make a difference in 27 with that. All these kids that you're hosting, you got a junior day this weekend. The one that Jace Johnson might be attending will be on the 31st, the last Saturday of this month. Then they've got a big one in March as well during spring camp. I think it's the end of March that they're looking at. Okay, get some yeses, lock some kids in, and understand this is the way that things are done now. Some of these numbers, don't blush at. Don't be foolish and prudish. This is the market now. This is the business that you're in.
Switching gears, did you see this quote really quick? I want to touch on the NFL where, there have been 15 fourth quarter lead changes in the playoffs so far. Holy moly.
It feels that way.
It does feel that way. But as we wrap this hour, I was looking at that. I brought up the story a week ago. It might have been 2 weeks ago. And I thought it was hilarious because at the time we had the bidding war or argument between the Bears and the city and talking about the idea of, playing in Indiana. I'm like, how are you going to have the Chicago Bears playing in Indiana? So Indiana's governor came out and said, we're all for it. We'd love to explore what. I'm sure you would. Suburban Arlington Heights and Gary, Indiana in a bidding war to replace Soldier Field. Come on, man. They're not going there. But I clicked on it a day afterwards to read more about that story. And, the stadium was proposed to be an indoor stadium. Well, I went down a rabbit hole. There are 6 NFL teams that are searching for new stadiums. One of them is the Chicago Bears. But so is, Cleveland. We know Buffalo is doing the same. They're not in search of a stadium. They've got a new stadium that's being built. And, man, I'm not liking the direction this is headed. They are all looking at domes. No, sir. No, sir. What are we doing? You're going to have a half dozen teams in varying stages of planning looking to move from outdoor stadiums to indoor stadiums in places that are synonymous with the elements. I hate it. I know why. I know what the money is. I get it. The fan experience, concerts year round, all the stuff that you want to be able to do with retractable and everything. Come on, man. Are we going to wake up one day in 5 years and nobody plays outdoors in the NFL?
I think it's entirely possible. I mean,
I hate it.
I'm so used to watching now these turf fields instead of grass fields, and they're all that very dull looking green. It's, Seattle's a wonderful atmosphere, but could that field present any more boringly with that muted green color? It's the same thing.
Change the color then, man. But
But I'm just saying it's emblematic of where we are, where everything is turf now. I remember when we switched from AstroTurf to that field turf, and the first time you saw the rubber pellets coming up, and there were horrible tales about rubber pellets getting stuck up the nose of the players as they got tackled to the ground, and then have to blow their nose out. And out came like these fragments of tire rubber. Like, ugh, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
But that's now the normal. That's what everybody's used to. I will say, there is a market that's near and dear to our heart, and they would do well in Tampa to mirror what Miami has done. You're still outdoors.
Yeah, you got to be outdoors.
But the fact that the field temperature at Halloween is 105 degrees is untenable, man.
I went to the Bucs-Philadelphia game this year with my mother, and I thought she was going to die. I mean, I wasn't loving life, but I thought she was going to die. I mean, and she's in shape. But she's like pouring water on the back of her neck. It was insane. I had a 20-year season ticket holder sit behind me and go, this is the worst it's ever been. It was unbelievable. So, yeah, I do like options. I do like the options. By the way, the Bills are moving into an outdoor stadium. I meant to clarify that. That's kind of interesting. Packers, Giants, Jets, Patriots, Steelers, Ravens, Bengals don't have plans to not be outdoors. All right, good. I remember thinking at the time, though, one of the few places that I would have forgiven and said, I understand, was two places. I thought Buffalo could understandably call it a day, no moss, but Minneapolis. That's the Minnesota Vikings. There were years, you go back before you were alive, they played outdoors.
Well, they played in the Gopher Stadium the year that Blair Walsh missed the kick from 25 yards. That game against Seattle was raw temperature 5 or 8 or some ridiculous number like that.
My man missed like a 19-yard field goal.
He sure did. I was in the sports book for that in Vegas.
I was driving down the interstate on my way to Bradenton to visit the folks, and I wanted to get home for the next game, and I'm listening to the Vikings announcers. He missed it!
Yeah.
The shock in their voice.
Oh, my God. You seen the clips? I think it's Hale Irwin back in the day. He's one of the first people to do the high five line.
High five line after making long putts.
The guy in his Seattle jersey. He ran through the entire sprinted through the sports book with his hand to the sky. People slapping him high fives. Oh yeah, I remember that.
I forgot to ask you, did you have the Canes plus 7.5, plus 8?
I didn't touch it.
I took Miami.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was the smart play.
Yeah, it was the right play. I did. I was really hoping to be wrong. Like I wanted them to get blown out. But when after they kicked the field goal, I'm like, well, I'm going to cover unless he throws a pick six, which is entirely possible.
That was the third down decision was the decision there.
Mm-hmm.
When it's just a timeout exchange, but it's in that yes, you're not going to OT, so you knew you covered.
No, I knew I had covered. I also was so just sure that game was going to end 28-27.
You see, I got my over on Saturday Night Football with Seattle and San Francisco.
You know you were on the wrong side of that bet.
Maybe.
You were completely on the wrong side of that bet. I tried to tell you San Fran wasn't going to score. They were beat to hell. That poor team. Holy moly. They were the walking dead going into that game.
They were. Well, and I think they still would have competed. The Tunja's fumble killed them. When you already have the kick return for the touchdown, and then they're about to go over midfield, and he fumbles, and, that's Katie bar the door.
And having 8 starters on your defense out is not ideal. And then you lose.
Did we figure out what was going on with Renardo Green? Us Knowles and our coaches, we don't like him at the next level.
Get it together, everybody.
He and Shanahan were having a field day.
And Renardo's well-liked there. He did. Yeah, it wasn't good. Final hour, fourth cup. You stay with Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Injured? Call Attorneys Who Care.